Bonjour.
I don't know what's happening this morning. Everything has gone wrong that could possibly go wrong, and so we've had a Spanish tune, we've had a German tune, we've had an Italian tune. We finally managed to get the French one working, but it is very very good to see you. It's Monday morning, not the best way to start. Comment vas-tu, Pierre-Benoît?
Moi, très bien, parce que tout ça, ça me fait rire, ça m'a fait rigoler. Donc, c'est super, c'est bien pour commencer la semaine. Est-ce que je te demande comment tu vas, toi? Parce que tu vas pas me dire la vérité, alors.
Ça va super bien, ça va.
Ah, ouais, très bien.
Oh
Bah,
dear,
très
dear,
bien.
dear. Well,
C'est
good.
peut-être l'Internet qui ne fonctionne
Oui,
pas
oui,
bien,
oui, tout à
Marc.
fait, tout à fait. C'est pas moi du tout.
D'accord, bien sûr. Et puis, c'est peut-être le temps. C'est peut-être
Oui,
ça.
c'est vrai, c'est vrai. Un temps très. What's the adjective relating to autumn?
Oh, je ne sais pas. Est-ce que c'est pluvieux, comme en Écosse?
Is there a word for autumnal, automne, or something like that?
Automnal,
Automnal,
automnal.
automnal. Très bien.
When it becomes plural with masculine plural, it's automnal.
Ok.
Un petit peu comme animal, animaux,
Oui, tout à
journal,
fait.
journaux.
Tout à fait, tout
D'accord?
à fait.
Which are names there, they're not adjectives, but it's just so you can visualize the endings.
Indeed. Now, it may well be rainy in Scotland, but it's quite good to see. Well, it's not good to see that it's cloudy in Provence, but it's reassuring. Bonjour, Gary. Let's say hello to some of you. Just a few things, of course, before we get started. We are counting down, as you can see up there. Our clock is counting down to 0, and that is when we'll get our lesson started. We're doing some reading today. But before we get there, let us say some hellos to people from around the world who are very kindly joining us for this live lesson. Let's start with Shells. Bonjour, Shells. Shells is in Cornwall. Let's see who else we've got. Pierre-Benoît, do you want to take this?
Je ne vois pas, il n'y a rien qui s'inscrit sur mon écran,
Ah,
je suis
d'accord, ok.
désolé. Il n'y a rien. Je peux lire un nom au hasard, mais ça va pas être aussi sérieux.
So just to check, just confirming. Right, I know what's happening. Okay, give me 1 second. Dear Lord. Right. Okay. Video monitor LG. There we go. So Pierre-Benoît, let's see if we can try this again. Can you see this?
J'aimerais bien te dire oui, mais je ne vois rien. Je ne vois rien, sauf tout ce que je vois, c'est de ma fenêtre qu'il ne fait pas beau, que
Try now.
les feuilles tombent,
Try
qu'il y
now.
a beaucoup de vent. Ah, ça y est. Bonjour Lisa.
Okay, we've got Dinah joining us from Cheshire. Bonjour,
Ouais, ça
Dinah.
y est, je vois Marc,
Très
merci.
bien.
Et on a David Saxton d'Israël. Bonjour.
Super. We've got Sandra joining us from New Zealand. Fantastic. Who else
Ouais.
do we have?
On a Ali aussi de Brighton, hein, c'est pas trop loin.
Très
Je suis
bien.
sûr qu'il y a du vent aussi à Brighton aujourd'hui.
Un peu plus loin, on a Ting Ting de Singapour.
Ouais, bonjour Ting Ting.
Et puis,
Alors c'est Trixie, je suppose, qui nous rejoint des Philippines. Voilà, j'espère qu'il fait beau aux Philippines.
super. Mandy est un peu confus.
Et pas autant que nous.
And Julia's asking, qu'est-ce qui se passe? What on earth is happening? Yeah. We did have a little bit of a problem at the beginning there, but we're sorted now and we are good to go. Today, as I said, we're doing some listening. No, we're not doing some listening, we're doing some reading today. So we've got a passage that we've split into 4, and we are going to work through this passage and help you understand it. Some of the passage, there's some interesting things in here. We're going to be taking the opportunity to do a little bit of grammar review. But with this reading passage, it's reading, Mark. It's not listening this week, it's reading.
Yeah.
With this reading, we are going to be doing some practice of our French language. Now, all being well, when that clock hits 0, we can get started. So let's see how we go. Un peu de lecture en français. Voyons. Voilà. Okay, c'est bon. On est prêt. So what's going to happen here is we're going to read this text. Pierre-Benoît will read the full. Well, we're going to do it in four halves. 4 quarters. Pierre-Benoît will read each text, and then we'll talk about the text and go through some of the language in here. And then we'll read it again, and you can read along with Pierre-Benoît no matter where you are in the world. So Pierre-Benoît, let's take a look at our text. Yeah, something not quite right there. That's us.
Ah, c'est mieux. Maintenant, je le vois. Alors
So,
je le lis, d'accord? Je
oui,
commence. Vous êtes
vas-y,
prêts?
vas-y.
Quelle est votre saison préférée? Après un bel été ici en Écosse, les jours raccourcissent et les nuits se rafraîchissent. Donc on sent que l'automne arrive. C'est le moment parfait pour faire de longues promenades à la campagne ou en forêt, à admirer les feuilles des arbres qui changent de couleur et à prendre des photos sensationnelles.
Super. Okay,
Merci.
so this is a reading text. We're going to work our way through it and we'll talk about each sentence in turn and we'll also talk a little about some of the things that are in this text. So, first of all, the first sentence there. Do you want to read the first sentence?
Yep. Quelle est votre saison préférée?
So, what is your favourite season? Now, you can let us know what your favourite season is in the comments. We'll look at these a little later on. But then Pierre-Benoît gives us a little more after our beautiful summer here in Scotland. I'm not sure if you were in the same place as I was, but anyway, what happens?
Après un bel été ici en Écosse, les jours raccourcissent et les nuits se rafraîchissent, donc on sent que l'automne arrive.
Right, so we've got two verbs in here, two interesting verbs. We have raccourcir,
Ouais.
which means to get shorter.
Yeah, because you've got the word court in it. I know the T is not there, but that's what it's built upon. Okay.
And we've also got rafraîchir. Okay,
And again,
so,
you've got maybe a word that you recognize in there, Mark.
so fraîche, frais.
Yeah.
So they get colder, basically. So after a beautiful summer, wherever you are, here in Scotland, the days are getting shorter and the nights are getting colder. Now, if this is the first coffee break lesson you're joining us for, you might be wondering why we're talking about Scotland and not France or another French-speaking place. It's because we're based in Scotland, so that's why this text is involving Scotland. Les jours raccourcissent et les nuits se rafraîchissent. So nights are getting, the days are getting shorter and the nights are getting colder. So what happens? On sent que l'automne arrive. So you feel that autumn is arriving or fall is arriving. Pierre-Benoît, can you just give us the pronunciation of the word autumn or fall in French?
L'automne.
So there's no M sound in there at all.
No, no.
Yeah,
And it's
M.
interesting because in English, it's a different letter that is mute, which is mute. Am I right, Mark?
Yep. So autumn in English, we use the M of the ending of autumn, even though there's a silent N. But in French, the M is what is silent. So we pronounce
Oui.
the N. L'automne. L'automne.
Très bien, très bien. And in the sentence, we also have two lovely IR verbs, Mark.
We do.
We've got raccourcir and rafraîchir
Let's take
for our listeners.
a quick look at how these IR verbs are conjugated. I think if I press this here, we'll take choisir as an example. So, je choisis.
Tu choisis.
Ils, elles, ont choisi.
Très bien.
And then,
Nous choisissons.
vous choisissez.
Il ou elle choisissent.
So there we have that I-S-S-E-N-T ending that we saw in the text. Raccourcissent and rafraîchissent. So it's quite a tricky part of these IR verbs. Some IR verbs don't work like that, do they?
No, we have two groups of IR verbs. One which is following rafraîchir, raccourcir, choisir, or finir. Finir is one as well that we tend to use a lot. And the other one is more like sortir or dormir, the other group. And the endings are much shorter. Sorry, the stem is much shorter.
Yep.
If you remember, je sors or je dors for I go out or I sleep or I'm sleeping.
Très bien, ok.
Voilà.
So, c'est le moment parfait pour faire de longues promenades à la campagne. So it's the perfect moment to do some long walks in the countryside ou en forêt or in the forest. And while you're doing that, what are you doing? Can you read the second part of this?
À admirer les feuilles des arbres et qui changent de couleur et à prendre des photos sensationnelles.
Super. So it's the perfect moment to do these long walks in the countryside or in the forest. And while you're doing that, you're going to admire the leaves of the trees qui changent de couleur, which are changing color, et à prendre des photos sensationnelles and to take some sensational photos. We've got a question from Bad Kid who is asking about les jours se raccourcissent. Why is it not se raccourcissent?
Se raccourcissent. Pardon? Se raccourcissent avec. Non, les jours raccourcissent. Pardon,
Yeah.
d'accord. Making it reflexive.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just raccourcir.
So
Ok,
raccourcir
les jours
isn't a
raccourcir. Ouais.
reflexive verb, but just
Très bien. Ouais.
straight in there. Okay.
Ouais.
Right. Quick
I was
question
looking at the
again.
ending, and that's why I could not. I didn't see what was the issue there, but it's
Right,
the
no
knowing that
problems.
it's reflexive. Okay, yeah.
Ham's asking why des arbres and not d'arbres. Okay.
Alors les feuilles d'arbre, yeah, you could say les feuilles d'arbre. That would be very even more general. Here is les feuilles des arbres in that specific period during that day when you're having your wee walk. So here it's better to have les feuilles des arbres.
In English, we would say the leaves of the trees as opposed to the leaves of trees. It would be much more general if we said the leaves of trees. Okay, let's read this again and then we'll go on to the second part of our text.
D'accord. Are you reading with me then?
Everyone's going to read along, yeah. Go for
Ouais,
it.
super. Un peu plus rapide
Oui, un
ou
peu plus
pareil que tout
rapide.
à l'heure? Un peu plus rapide. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti. Quelle est votre saison préférée? Après un bel été, ici en Écosse, les jours raccourcissent et les nuits se rafraîchissent. Donc, on sent que l'automne arrive. C'est le moment parfait pour faire de longues promenades à la campagne ou en forêt, à admirer les feuilles des arbres qui changent de couleur et à prendre des photos sensationnelles.
Super. Okay, let's continue on with the next part of the text. Pierre-Benoît, vas-y.
J'ai tellement de bons souvenirs. Souvent, le week-end, nous allions nous promener en famille, dans les bois, en bord de Loire, dans les environs de Nantes. Et pendant les vacances scolaires de la Toussaint, nous rendions quelquefois visite à ma tante, à Épinal, dans les Vosges. Je n'oublierai jamais les interminables jeux de piste avec les cousins. Qu'est-ce qu'on a rigolé ensemble!
Okay, so j'ai tellement de bons souvenirs. I have got so many good memories. Souvent le week-end, often at the weekend, nous allions nous promener en famille, dans les bois, en bord de Loire, dans les environs de Nantes. Now, there's a lot in there, but it's actually
Yeah,
straightforward. So, nous allions, we used to go for a walk. This is kind of like that would in the past. Oh, when I was young, we would go for a walk in the forest, en bord de Loire, and the banks of the Loire, dans les environs de Nantes, in the surroundings of Nantes. Now, just be careful there because environ, when it's used in this way, in the surroundings, it has an S on it. But when you're meaning around 70 or something like that, that would be environ with no S at the end.
très
So
bien.
just be careful with that one. And something else, pendant les vacances scolaires de la Toussaint. So Toussaint literally is All Saints. So these are the holidays that are at the end of October, beginning of November. And what did we do? Nous rendions quelquefois visite à ma tante à Épinal dans les Vosges. So rendre visite à quelqu'un is to visit someone. Not to be confused with
Visiter un endroit, une ville, des choses comme ça, des choses qui sont inanimées. Okay,
tout
but
à
when
fait.
it's a person, you need to say rendre visite à. And if you find this expression a wee bit tricky, it might be easier to use aller voir quelqu'un, aller voir someone, which is a much straighter expression to use.
Tout à fait, tout à fait. So sometimes during the school holidays at Toussaint, we used to go to visit my aunt in Épinal, dans les Vosges, in the Vosges Mountains. And what is the final part?
Je n'oublierai jamais les interminables jeux de piste avec les cousins. Nice future there.
Super. So I will never forget. So oublier, the verb to forget. Je n'oublierai jamais les interminables jeux de piste. So un jeu de piste is when you do a treasure hunt.
Treasure hunt.
Yeah. Avec les cousins, with my cousins. Qu'est-ce qu'on a rigolé ensemble? So on a rigolé, we laughed, we had fun. And when you put qu'est-ce que in front of it, it's like making it really more emphasis. So you're saying, oh, what a great laugh we had all together. Qu'est-ce qu'on a rigolé?
Oh, we had
ensemble.
such a good time together. Yes, the idea of, yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Tu veux bien le relire? Perhaps
Bien
just a
sûr.
little slower this time. I think some people found it last time a little bit of a race.
D'accord. J'ai tellement de bons souvenirs. Souvent, le week-end, nous allions nous promener en famille dans les bois, en bord de Loire, dans les environs de Nantes. Et pendant les vacances scolaires de la Toussaint, nous rendions quelquefois visite à ma tante, à Épinal, dans les Vosges. Je n'oublierai jamais les interminables jeux de piste avec les cousins. Qu'est-ce qu'on a rigolé ensemble!
Très bien.
Voilà.
Okay, excellent. I hope you're all reading along with Pierre-Benoît. And don't worry if you're going a little slower. That's absolutely fine. Okay, let's move on to the third part of our text. Just before we do, someone's asking what's Épinal. Sonia's asking what's Épinal. It's a
It's a
place,
town.
a town.
It's a
Okay.
town, sorry. Town in the area of the Vosges.
Mhm.
Okay, it's the main town in the Vosges.
Voilà, très bien. It actually
Voilà.
featured in Coffee Break
In
French
the east
Season
of France.
4. I think somebody was from Épinal. I seem to remember in Coffee Break French Season 4. Okay, let's
D'accord.
move on to our third part of the text. Vas-y.
Après nos balades en forêt, les champignons que nous avions ramassés finissaient dans une bonne soupe que nous mangions ensemble et qui nous réchauffait. Cette soupe est une soupe traditionnelle d'automne et l'avantage c'est qu'elle se fait assez rapidement. Si ça vous dit d'en faire une, vous aurez besoin de champignons, de potirons, de châtaignes, d'un oignon et d'une gousse d'ail.
All right,
Voilà.
some interesting vocabulary here. We've got, so after our walks in the forest, les
Mhm.
champignons, the mushrooms, que nous avions ramassés, which we had gathered. Now, the S on the end of that is because we're referring back to les champignons. So, les champignons que nous avions ramassés.
Yeah, because the place of champignon is before, it's preceding the auxiliary avion. So it's got, we need to agree with this. Because usually, obviously, with avoir, we don't agree.
Tout à fait. So these mushrooms...
Finissait dans une bonne soupe que nous mangions ensemble et qui nous réchauffait. Interesting here, the que and the qui,
Yep.
Mark.
So the mushrooms which we had gathered ended up dans une bonne soupe, in a nice soup, que nous mangions ensemble, which we ate together. So in English, we've got two whiches there, or that's. I know in some places that would be more normal than which. Que nous avions ramassé, which we gathered. Those are the mushrooms which we gathered, and we ate, the soup which we ate, et qui nous réchauffait, and which warmed us up. So another which, and there's a difference in these because notice the subject of each verb. So que nous avions ramassé, which we gathered, que nous mangions ensemble, which we ate, et qui nous réchauffait. So here, the nous isn't a subject pronoun.
No.
That's the object there. So qui nous réchauffait, and which warmed us up. So it was the soup which warmed us up. It's a little bit
So
tricky.
qui is a subject, whereas que is more like the object.
Exactly.
Très bien. Cette soupe est une soupe traditionnelle d'automne.
Okay, so it's a traditional autumnal soup.
Et l'avantage, c'est qu'elle se fait assez rapidement. Nicely reflexive here.
And the advantage is that it is made quite quickly, or it makes itself quite quickly, literally.
Si ça vous dit d'en faire une, vous aurez besoin de champignons, de potirons, de châtaignes, d'un oignon et d'une gousse d'ail.
Okay, so if you fancy making one, si ça vous dit d'en faire une, a soup, meaning vous aurez besoin de champignons, you'll need mushrooms, de potirons, which are...
It's like, it's a family of courge, of marrows, so it's just a wee bit bigger than a pumpkin, Mark,
yeah.
un potiron.
Okay.
So a lot of people kind of mistake it for a pumpkin, but it's a wee bit bigger and it tends to be green. Okay, if I remember well.
De châtaigne, so those are chestnuts. D'un oignon, one onion, et d'une gousse d'ail, and a clove of garlic.
Très bien.
Couldn't remember the word for clove there. Okay, so let's read it again together.
Après nos balades en forêt, les champignons que nous avions ramassés finissaient dans une bonne soupe que nous mangions ensemble et qui nous réchauffait. Cette soupe est une soupe traditionnelle d'automne et l'avantage c'est qu'elle se fait assez rapidement. Si ça vous dit d'en faire une, vous aurez besoin de champignons, de potirons, de châtaignes, d'un oignon et d'une gousse d'ail.
Super.
Voilà.
Ham's asking an interesting question. So if it was which we rewarmed, then would it be que nous réchauffions? So we were warming up that soup again.
Très bien, oui. Nous réchauffions, réchauffer une soupe, réchauffer la soupe. This one we're talking about, that would be correct with a wee EQ accent after the réchauffer, after the R, sorry.
And you're quite right to say que nous réchauffions.
It would be que, because it's the soup that you are heating up, so it's the object, so it's got to be que. Très, très bien.
Okay, let
Super.
us move on to our final section. If I press this. button here, we should get the final text. There we go.
Très bien. C'est parti. Il faut bien dire qu'aucune autre saison n'offre de tels paysages et de telles couleurs. En fait, même si je dois avouer que ce n'est pas ma saison préférée, l'automne est cher à mon cœur. Il faut bien dire qu'aucune autre saison n'offre de tels paysages et de telles couleurs. C'est une période de l'année qui nous permet aussi de ralentir un petit peu tout en se préparant pour l'hiver et le printemps qui arriveront par la suite.
I realize what I've done there.
We have a
made
wee
a
extra
little-
sentence here, a wee repetition. It's just because we
Apologies for
wanted to
that.
make sure that it's,
Yeah.
our listeners would see it properly.
Okay, so let's start from en fait then.
Pardon. En fait, même si je dois avouer que ce n'est pas ma saison préférée, l'automne est cher à mon cœur.
So in fact, even if I have to admit, avouer, a lovely verb, que ce n'est pas ma saison préférée, that it's not my favorite season, l'automne est cher à mon cœur. Literally, autumn or fall is dear to my heart. Okay.
So what would be the best translation? It would be something like means a lot to me or something like that?
It means a lot to me. It's something that I value very much.
Yeah. Or dearly, I value dearly or
Dearly,
something
yeah,
like
that
that.
would
To
be
have the
good.
share.
Yep.
That's good, yeah. Okay. Il faut bien dire qu'aucune autre saison n'offre de tels paysages et de telles couleurs.
Okay, so il faut bien dire, you really have to say, literally, you must say, qu'aucune autre saison n'offre de tels paysages. So no other season offers such scenery and such colors. Okay, now that's quite tricky because we've got de tel in both cases.
Obviously, paysage being masculine and couleur being feminine. And obviously, note as well the aucune that needs the semi-negation. So we have the nof, the N apostrophe before offre. D'accord?
There we are. Right. I've tidied that up now so we can see it properly. Okay.
Merci. Merci.
So the next part, c'est une période de l'année. It's a period of the year, or time of year, probably more natural in English, qui nous permet aussi de ralentir un petit peu, which allows us to slow down a little bit, tout en se préparant pour l'hiver et le printemps qui arriveront par la suite. All the time preparing for winter and spring, which will then follow.
Très bien. Très bien. I was going to say, sorry, ralentir, another IR verb that follows the same as finir, as choisir, as raccourcir and rafraîchir that we saw earlier.
Yeah, tout à fait. Let's just take a closer look at this aucun. I think I've got this yet. Aucune autre saison n'offre de tels paysages et de telles couleurs. N'offre, I don't know why I came up with n'offre. So no other season offers. And the N apostrophe there, as Pierre-Benoît said, it's not really a negative, it's a semi-negation. It goes with aucune. So no other season offers such scenery and such colours. Could you give us another example of aucune or aucun with the semi-negation?
Aucun problème d'Internet ne s'est passé ce matin.
Not a single problem of the internet happened this morning. Yeah, we had no problems at all when we got started this.
Désolé, c'est tout ce qui m'est venu à l'esprit. That's all that came to mind.
So aucun or aucune is then followed by an N or a ne or an N apostrophe before your verb.
Most of the time it refers to a single item. So you tend to see aucun, aucune in the singular form. However, if the word you're using is plural, hasn't got a singular form, you will need to put aucun and aucune with an S at the end. And that can be very strange. Par exemple, je n'ai pris, N apostrophe I, aucune vacances.
Yeah, so aucune, U-N-E-S at the end. Strange. Okay, Pierre-Benoît, read this one more time and everyone can read along, please.
D'accord. En fait, même si je dois avouer que ce n'est pas ma saison préférée, l'automne est cher à mon cœur. Il faut bien dire qu'aucune autre saison n'offre de tels paysages et de telles couleurs. C'est une période de l'année qui nous permet aussi de ralentir un petit peu, tout en se préparant pour l'hiver et le printemps qui arriveront par la suite. Et
Super.
voilà.
Et voilà.
J'espère que vous avez tous bien lu avec moi.
Tout à fait, tout à fait. And we have just reached the 0 point in our timer.
Hey.
So what we're trying to do with these lives is really focus for 20 minutes. And I know that many of you have questions and you've been asking the questions as we're going through, and we'll come back to the questions now. But we're trying to keep that lesson to the 20 minutes so that you know how long it's going to take. We know how long it's going to take. And I know that everyone's busy, so hopefully that helps. Let's go back through and look at some of your questions. We've answered some of these already. So Épinal. Dinah was asking about why en bord de Loire and not au bord de Loire.
You could have au bord de, in that case you have to say au bord de la Loire. You have to be more specific after that about the actual place. En bord de Loire makes it more general.
Mm-hmm.
En bord de.
Good, okay. And then a few more questions about the qui and the que. The key for key and que. Let me see if I can bring that bit of the text back on screen. Let me second here. The key about the que and the key about the key and the que. The important thing about the key and the que is that what you're always looking for immediately before your I'm just getting this sentence here. Immediately before your verb, you're looking for a subject pronoun. If there's a subject pronoun, then it's going to be que. So let me see if I can give you a little example here. I don't know how this is going to appear on the... Oh no, that's terrible. That's no use to anybody. I don't know what's going on today. Nothing seems to be working today at all. I'll try and make it larger at least. I hope you can see this.
Yes.
More or less. It's not ideal, but we'll be able to see it. So, après nos balades en forêt, les champignons que, what's coming next, it's a subject pronoun. Nous avions ramassé. So it has to be que. It's the mushrooms which we had gathered finissaient dans une bonne soupe que...
And then we've got nous again here.
So another subject pronoun. Nous mangions ensemble. Et qui, now the tricky thing is here, the nous is not a subject pronoun. Okay, that one there is an object pronoun. Qui nous réchauffait, which warmed us up. So if we...
And the little clue, Mark, is that if you look at the ending of réchauffer, it is different from the previous two verbs we had, which were obviously going with the nous as a subject pronoun. So they had the IONS or the ONS ending as we tend to identify it as the one that goes with nous. But here we've got an AIT. So this is where we know that qui is the subject pronoun. Super. And it's in charge of the verb réchauffer.
Super.
Réchauffer.
Okay, Karine rather, is asking, Andrea is asking, en fait, always pronounce the T. Do you always pronounce the T in en fait? En fait,
moi je le dis. Moi, oui.
Moi aussi.
In other areas of France, en fait, dans le sud, you could hear that, yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's another word I've discovered, which is moi, which everybody knows. But I know that I have a friend who comes from Arcachon, and it's kind of south of France, well, west, just south of Bordeaux, on the coast, and he says moise. And that is really strange to me, but that's it. À moins que... Well, it's strange.
Okay, that is where we're going to leave this session. We hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry about the problems at the beginning with the wrong tunes and everything else. But I'm just glad that we were able to have this live today, because about 5 minutes before we started, everything was going wrong. And then only a few things went wrong during it. But it's all good. We hope you've enjoyed it. This one, obviously, as you know, this is a morning live for us, so 9:30 a.m. Next time we do a French one, which will be in 2 weeks' time, we will be in the afternoon. So that will be a 3:30 p.m. live for us, and obviously that means 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, and then the next time round we'll be back to the morning. Let me see. There's just one. Oh, Sarah's asking, and en plus, pronounce the S or not?
Oui, moi je dis en plus.
Yes.
En plus, moi je dis.
But
plus, je dirais en plus, no. Okay, plus you have the problem that I think we've mentioned that before. Tu en veux plus or tu n'en veux plus. You can have, sometimes it can be quite tricky. So I would say here en plus, I would say the S.
Super. Okay, lots of thanks coming in. Thank you to you all. It's been nice to have you with us this morning.
Great. Great. Merci Jane, merci Elisa, merci Tintin. Merci beaucoup. Merci, Damien.
Amazing. You're doing a great
Merci à
job.
tous.
Merci beaucoup. And Jillian here as well. Excellent stuff. Do check out if you've not done so already, there is a new video on our YouTube channel, and that is a video in which I am speaking 10 languages. So if you've not watched that one already, make sure you check that out. That is available just on YouTube. And also remember that we've got our next episode of Coffee Break French to go coming on Thursday, and also there's a new podcast version of that too, so you'll be able to listen to the podcast as well as watch the video. We hope you enjoy that. For now, that is it. Let's hope that the next button I press will be the correct Coffee Break French theme tune. And if not, well, this is Coffee Break French, we guarantee.
Qu'est-ce qu'on a rigolé aujourd'hui, Marc.
Eh oui. Merci beaucoup et à la prochaine. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Merci.